I think NIL and the transfer portal now, it makes having a sustained good foundation culture that much harder.
What is an NFL quarterback room like?
So 2 years ago, I trained Sam Darnold and Josh Allen and Kyle Allen. That was my draft class.
I think that this league is filled with opportunities, and the guys that stay in the league for a long time are the guys that take advantage of those opportunities.
I'm just a big believer in repetition.
And I'm a big routine guy, and goals never end.
I'm just a big
And I'm a big routine guy, and goals. Once I stepped on that field today, I was good, man.
Welcome back to The Room, episode 17, a full NFL season worth of episodes. My name is Kyle Allen, your host. This is Jordan Palmer. Jordan Palmer played in the league for a lot of years, 8 years. He's now quarterback guru, coaches all the top quarterbacks coming out in the draft, is a consultant for XFL. My name is Kyle Allen. I'm currently on the Houston Texans, my 5th year in the NFL, and this is The Room. Welcome to the quarterback room. If you're new here, welcome. We have new quarterbacks from college and NFL every week. Today, we got a great conversation with Cade McNamara, recent transfer in the portal, which we dive deep into the portal. We're deep in the portal talk today. Probably one of the most interesting topics in all football right now is the transfer portal. And Cade, who was basically, he said he's the first quarterback in the portal this year. And so he has so much insight. You were saying it in the interview. We recorded the interview right before this. You were saying it, Jordan, that there's probably no one who has better insight into the portal than the people actually in it, quarterbacks especially. So
yeah, there's just no other experts on the transfer portal, right? Like agents, well, they've only been paying attention to it for a minute, and coaches have never done it before. And so, like, who's got the most experience in what the portal is, and what are the market is, and who's worth what, and what school's paying what, and how do the packages get put together? The players that are in it, that's it. I mean, they have the most expertise. So here's a quarterback who was the first guy in and the first guy to commit to the place he wanted. I don't think he would have committed to anywhere over Iowa. He's going to the place he wanted to go, not just like grab the first opportunity. And so fascinating conversation. We dive deep into the portal.
Yeah, pumped up. He's super pumped about Iowa. Before we get into the interview, as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're about to hit 5K. Like I said, going to give away a signed jersey at 5K. So keep pumping those numbers up. We're growing and growing fast. Once we hit 10K, we're going to do something even bigger. We've been talking, not sure what we're going to do yet, but once we hit 10K, it's going to get even bigger, and we're just going to continue to grow and grow. And if you're on the ground floor, we're going to remember you, okay? So keep hitting that. Like us on Jordan's TikTok, Jordan Palmer. We're on Instagram, The Room with Kyle and JP. We've got a bunch of great guests. We keep talking about it, but college football playoffs coming up, NFL playoffs coming up, the NFL's wrapping up. We're saving our best for last. We're going to have some great guests coming up, some awesome stuff as we get into college football playoffs and then going into NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. So stay tuned. We got a lot of great ones. If you haven't seen our last one with Sam Darnold, it was his first interview he's done in a long time. Sam was awesome. He was great. He was candid about all his stuff in New York. So go check that one out too. But right now, let's get to Cade McNamara and Portal Talk.
Well, welcome to the room, Cade McNamara, your new school, your new little Hawkeye U.
That's right. Appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, man. This is a long time coming, and excited to have you on. You've had a crazy year. We'll get into it. This is a crazy week with the portal. We'll get into it. But just how we all know each other here. So I've known you since I think you were in what?
7th grade.
Yeah, 7th grade. Came down, looked like shit. And one of the better work ethics I've ever been around. One of the more determined young dudes I've ever been around at any age, any level. And you kind of manufactured this thing. Kyle, when did you guys meet?
We met, I think you were probably like sophomore in high school, maybe freshman in high school. You and your dad and your little bro would come out, and your little bro would be running around in routes and his cut off and his acting like he was all swole.
Yeah.
Also, Jordan just said you looked like shit. So he's essentially just taking credit for what you are now fully.
Basically.
Just meeting you in 7th grade to now. So just get that out of the way. But
I did actually have a horrendous throwing motion. I just sent Jordan the video the other day. I looked like a pitcher on a mound.
Yeah, we'll put that in here. We'll put them side by side. Yeah, it's cleaned up.
But like, who did have a good stroke in 7th grade? Like, let's be real.
I see some 7th graders with some strokes. Chase Curran, man, I'm telling you, little redhead out of LA. You've seen him spin it. Yeah, these are different times. So these kids are growing up in 7-on-7. So,
but no, I think I met you in high school. And you were like at every single summit camp, when Jordan's camps. Like, you were always out there.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you're in college, so you can only make a couple. But I just remember you, some of the OG Summit guys is obviously you, Sam, Jarrett Stidham.
Mm-hmm.
Way back in the day was Christian Hackenberg, which that was always a blast to get to see that dude just chuck it around all over the place at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, every ball.
Yeah.
Just throwing piss missiles through Kyle's hands. Kyle's like in 6th grade. He's like taking his head off.
It was the worst. I would warm up with him before, and I remember there was one day it was like raining and cold, and it didn't matter. He's just throwing piss missiles at me every time, and I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Like,
I feel like every time I saw Hack, it was always piss and rain. And the dude's just wearing just all his Under Armour white tights and just a t-shirt. And if it's like 8 a.m., it's like 46 degrees, and he's just chucking the shit out of it.
Yeah. All he saw was this fastball down the middle.
Yeah.
Not shaking that one off. Yeah.
No.
So we all go way back. And Cade, I've been riding with you on this journey, but this has been crazy, man. Last year, you lead Michigan to a 12-win season, first one in decades, whatever it's been, and pretty thankless. Right? Everything was about the other guy and the media, and you lead them to a Big 12 championship. You lead them to the college football playoff, things that Michigan fans, have been dreaming about and expecting for a long time. Beat Ohio State, played great. Only game you lost last year during the season was the Michigan State, and the other quarterback fumbled in that game at the end, threw for I think 385 in that game. So you rattled off an unbelievable year last year. Kind of went in midseason the year before, played great there too, and then just kind of a gnarly offseason of competing and, end up going with the other guy, get hurt in the second game of the season and out for the year. And then now in Southern California rehabbing. Just give us a little bit about the highs and the lows of, I would say, your last 24 months, because there's the highest highs you've ever experienced, and I would assume the lowest lows.
Right, for sure. I mean, it's probably definitely been my highest high and lowest low in the same within like a 12-month period, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I thought a low was a redshirt freshman year, and then here I am with just a completely new perspective. I mean, I guess definitely last year was the highest high. I mean, just leading them. I mean, there was some attention going the other way, but I mean, it kind of forced me to play my best ball. And I think especially when it came down to it was third down, I think I grew a ton in that area just because obviously not being the solidified starter the year before. And then even if I got taken out on first and second down for run plays, if that's how they used them, then it would force me, like, whether you like it or not, like if it's third and long, you still have to, you started the drive, so you still have to finish it, So I think, overall last season was awesome. And, there's some times that, I thought maybe I shouldn't have gotten pulled. There's times that, I think, I could have helped the team out in a better way. So those were really the lows. And then going into this year, I was well aware that there was going to be a competition. I mean, that's just how Coach Harbaugh has always stated it, that, there's always a competition and the best guy plays here. And that's how he's always treated it. And, that's fine with me, because when I was earning my way up, that's how I wanted to be anyways. So really spring ball was all right. JJ didn't participate in the spring, so I had all of spring ball, which was pretty fun. And then going into camp, coach made it a 100% even competition. And then really a really high before things started to go low was I got voted by my team as a captain, which was just, it is my biggest honor so far and my biggest accomplishment.
And Kyle, I didn't realize till he went through that too, that like it's a way bigger deal to be a captain at Michigan than it is at other schools. Like it's always great to be voted a captain, but kind of like in the NFL, like if you're the starting quarterback, you're probably a captain. Like it's not like that. I didn't realize it was like a big deal. People like, you'll see like a 58-year-old guy introduce his buddy as, oh, he was a captain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, unbelievable. And I've never been voted a captain before. So like you being able to be voted a captain, to like even when a quarterback battle is going on too, it just speaks to like the teammate you are. So I agree, that's an unbelievable accomplishment, man.
Thanks. Yeah. And then then the day after I get voted captain, Coach Harbaugh insisted a team that me and JJ, that Michigan has 2 starting quarterbacks, and that we're going to be splitting really, I have the first game and he has the second game. And some stuff is going on, talk around the team and stuff. There's some stuff that I just won't get into, but really then I played the first game, I played pretty decent. Then we win by like 50 because the start of our schedule was kind of a joke. I mean, we had 4 home games started off and we won every single game by like over 50 points. So then JJ goes in against Hawaii, plays really well. I will say that he played extremely well against Hawaii. And then Coach Harbaugh just decided to announce it after the game in his media press conference that JJ was going to be the starter going forward. I actually got some garbage time against Hawaii. didn't play my best. And then the next game, we're up by like 30 at the end of the second quarter. And then they give me like a 2-minute drive with like 20 seconds left on our own 30. Then, so first play, pissed, I take a sack, and then, which is like the last thing you could possibly do. And then, but then I throw like this circus route into the boundary on the second play. So at that time, there's like probably like 10 seconds left. Throw a circus route for like 30 yards. I give our kicker like 55 yards. But on that play, that's when I did my entire knee. I completely messed it up. Did my MCL, and then I didn't know this but till my MCL was messed up. I tore my patella halfway through the season last year, actually against Michigan State. And that's a whole story in itself. But
so found out that your knee had been bugging you, and it was actually from the season before.
Yeah, and then they showed, I was able to go back and look at the MRI results from the year before, and it showed torn patella tendon on there.
So crazy.
Well, you always get a second. Never see that in the NFL. Players getting second opinions. That's why you get second opinions.
Yeah.
Right. Which thankfully I got one this time, because they were asking me to go back onto the field this year before, and then they actually told me, we think you're ready, that, you should start practicing. And I was advised not to get the surgery. And then I came out to LA for Dr. Elitrosh to take a look at it, and he was astonished by my knee was completely open still, and was determining whether to have a repaired MCL or completely get a cadaver and a full reconstruction. And that was an in surgery call, which is crazy.
Wow.
So really going back, throw the circus route, he was inbounds. So then I had to, because we didn't have any timeouts because we blew it on the sack. So I had to run downfield and then clock the ball, just totally mess up. Thank God I had a bunch of adrenaline. So then I was able to clock it, but he missed a kick, which kind of sucks, which would have been sick. But so then after that, really, I just kind of stopped participating in football, really. I mean, it was just kind of...
Well, come out, get surgery, rehab, and kind of move on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been...
Cheat on your boys.
Yeah.
It's tough, and I mean, it's not indicative of your career at Michigan. I think when you look back at your career at Michigan, you're going to have a lot of fond memories about it, but just like football is, and you were learning this quickly, and Jordan and me have both been through it. Like, football is just a game of a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows. And right now you are committed to Iowa, right? You've gone through the whole process. And I think me and Jordan are really interested in the whole transfer portal process, just as America is. I was on Twitter.
Well, it's something that no one's an expert in. Like, nobody's been doing this for 20 years. You know what I mean? Because it's brand new. It's like crypto. Like, you can talk to anybody you want, you're going to get a different answer.
Ooh, I hope it's not as bad as crypto, but it might be as bad as crypto.
It's going to be for some people.
But for you, a guy who was hurt, and so you kind of had, your time to plot and figure out what you were going to do and kind of see the portal and have a plan going into the portal time, which I think it just opened a couple of days ago, as opposed to other guys. What was your plan going into transferring a portal? Because I don't remember when I transferred, there was no plan. I transferred and I was like, oh, all these schools are going to want me. It's going to be sick. Like, 2 schools wanted me, right? And that was before portal. Like, there wasn't that many out there transferring. Now you go into portal. This is probably the second year, but really this is the biggest year of the portal. A ton of guys are going to be transferring, probably not as many as you've seen. What was the plan going in?
Yeah. So I think what makes it so crazy right now is, first off, just a whole new rule that you can literally go and still be eligible. And then on top of that is how NIL has become a factor. And I think it's just made everything just be so much crazier. And I think when you're looking at the portal, I've kind of divided it into 2, I guess, categories, is if you're a graduate student and if you're a non-graduate student. So luckily for me, I was a graduate student. So that means I can go into the portal at any time I feel. And I decided to do that after the last regular season game, just because I didn't want to be a distraction. Mm-hmm. And so I had the freedom of doing that, which means as soon as I can go in, really, I think I was like the only quarterback in the portal when I went in. So all the schools, were hitting me up or anything and everything. They probably would have had no idea that, guys like, maybe DJ, like Graham and all these other dudes who are going to the portal now. I mean, they probably had no idea. So then the other half is for the guys who aren't graduate students, which there's a date, it's December 5th, that you are technically allowed to enter the portal. And then, so when that happened, it was literally like yesterday. Yesterday, you open your phone and it's just nonsense. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. And it was some stat. It was like 695 people entered the portal yesterday. But
Yeah.
you're a graduate student. You almost have a leg up on it, which I think I didn't know that. I think that's kind of smart. It kind of goes back to the old rule, which was kind of a fucked up rule. But it was, if you were graduated, you could go and not sit out a year. If you weren't graduated, you had to sit out a year if you were going to go. So did you ever think about putting your name in earlier after you got surgery?
I mean, yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I just didn't think that. I just feel like me leaving Michigan like mid-season and everything, especially after being voted captain, that I just don't want to. Yeah. I just didn't want to do that.
It's respect. I like that.
Yeah, I think you handled it great, and you got the top of that list, right? I mean, like DJ Uiagalelei, like if he throws for 500 yards and wins the ACC championship game, I don't know if he's in the portal, right? And then I didn't see the entire game, but he didn't. The young guy goes in, Cade Klubnik, and plays well. So then now DJ's in there. So there's probably guys who were like, let me see how this next game goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what's even crazier
with that is that now coaches are allowing dudes back. Like, so you could like say like, oh, I'm going to the portal. But like, I know like at Michigan and Iowa, there are dudes who have entered the portal and they're like, well, we still kind of want them, you know? So like, that's a whole thing in itself, that I'll just go into the portal and I still have like, I can still go to my old school. So like that just adds more, like, it's like so much, you have to be very decisive, but at the same way, you have so many options now. It's crazy.
One way I look at this is like every year in the NFL, there's a new team, right? Every team's a new team, right? Because they add people in the draft, they add people in free agency, they lose people to expired contracts, poor performance, getting cut or getting traded or entering free agency. So like, so you got, new, and you got, some guys are gone, and then we got new guys in here. And it's all of those decisions are based off individually, and it's widely accepted, right? If you're an unrestricted free agent, you're not going to have some coach go, well, you don't love me if you're going to go and take a visit somewhere. No, it's been around for a long time. It's widely accepted that, look, I'm a free agent. I'm going to go take some meetings. I might re-sign here, but it's strictly based off of me personally and what's best for me. Yeah. Then when the team is intact, then we all got to come together as a team and win and support each other, right? And then next year, brand new. Right. It's just college has been like, you're going to be here for 4 years, and, mom, your son's going to graduate and he's going to be right. And so it's like this, like, it's a culture, and, we're in the program for 3 years now. And we really got the culture the way that we want it. And so it's like college is now being forced to go to the NFL, which is like, I mean, there's certainly going to be schools that say you put one foot in the portal and you're out for sure. But to your point, and I didn't know this, I would assume it would be this way, that there's certain teams that will say you can test the portal and we're going to save you. We're going to save your spot. And so it's like forcing college to shift like the whole vibe and the whole, commitment, like the idea of commitment. It's forcing it into a professional commitment. And it makes sense, because if guys enter the portal, if you have a key starter entering the portal and who may come back or may go somewhere else, it's obviously strictly a financial decision, right? If he's already the starter here, he's not waiting to see if he could start somewhere else. He's waiting to see what the financial opportunity is. And so, yeah, it's just fascinating. I would say that, like, anybody who's like, yeah, what the hell's going on with the portal? I don't really watch college. Okay, it's NFL, but there's no trade deadline. There's no salary cap, and every single player is an unrestricted free agent. It's like, that's what it is.
How many guys do you think are in, Cade, just trying to test the waters to see if they can get more money somewhere else?
Oh, I bet you.
How many guys do you think are doing that? And then the school is going to offer them more money?
I guarantee you a ton. I don't know if I were to ballpark it, I don't know.
Like percentage.
Like 40%. I think do that. Like, I mean, I've just, like, now that I'm committed, like, I'm recruiting basically. So I'm talking to like dudes who are like, oh yeah, like my teammate, like I'm talking to like a guy who's a second stringer and he's out because he's been screwed over like the last couple of years. But then the starter in front of him just put his name in the portal, and it's like, well, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to, like, you're supposed to be happy. And then these guys are just like testing out, like, oh, like, what does the NIL package look like at like anywhere else? And then if like you're going to guarantee me a start over at who knows where, then, oh, I'll just take that opportunity. Where I think it's like tough is like all these is just creating such a gap between like Power Five and like the big Power Five versus versus the rest of the country. It's because like now, like, because both my brothers go to UTEP, so they're like, okay, think of it like if I'm the best player at UTEP, like, does this mean like, okay, I'm gonna have 1 year and then like kind of similar, like, all right, like if I have my best year at Michigan, then I'm gonna go to the NFL draft. It's like if I have my best year at UTEP, I'm gonna go put myself in the portal, and then hopefully I get a deal at Ohio State or whatever. And then, but the thing is that because they're coming from such lower schools or just that don't have as much attention, a lot of those dudes who come from those schools just stay in the portal and then they never leave. They never get picked up. And then they have to go walk on somewhere. So then they're in an even worse situation.
It's
crazy.
risky. Fuck, dude. It is so risky. I remember we talked about somebody with this stat before. This was like last year's transfer portal. I think 50%, over 50% of the people that were in the portal didn't end up at a new school.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Stayed in the portal, which is crazy because when you think about it, right? So now we're talking about unrestricted free agency, right? But it's a little different because you also have another source of players coming in, these high school players. Like you have all these like 5 stars, 4, whatever. You have all these recruits coming in. And I think the perfect situation was for you because you graduated, you knew you were going to be in early. But a lot of these guys right now, and they have early signing. I don't know where an early signing from high school is now, but it's sometime in this area.
Yeah.
Like how does a high school recruit, I guess a high school recruit's easier because he has a longer runway, but a guy right now, right? They have a 5-star coming in. Well, should I go to this school? Oh no, this guy's going to drop out. Maybe I can go to that. Like, it just seems like just a web of just shit. And then what does it come down to? It just comes down to money, in my opinion. Like some of these guys is just always going to come down to money.
Yeah, I think definitely some of the skill players that these dudes who like have been established dudes, like they're like, because not everyone when it comes to NIL is on completely different levels. Like you'd be surprised that some schools, you'd be so surprised at what the NIL situation and the lack of organization.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to disclose personal information here, but like, you didn't break the bank as the starting quarterback at Michigan, winning a Big Ten championship and beating Ohio State. And I know guys at regular ass colleges making $250,000.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it was like really like Notre Dame; those guys don't make any money.
No. Yeah, I mean,
they have a $1 billion TV contract.
Right, exactly.
Who knows what that endowment is?
Yeah, and like you're supposed to like thinking about Michigan, it's like, okay, they have the biggest alumni in the country. Like, why wouldn't their players be making more than everyone else? You know, It just, and that's just what is kind of crazy with all this stuff is because you'd be surprised that some of these schools like Nebraska, like some schools that you wouldn't think have it all dialed in like that, and they do. And then like dudes are like, okay, like like these collectives is what they call it, where all these where the boosters is an organized group and they're able to distribute, that's how they raise the money. And like schools like Nebraska, I know Iowa has a great collection, and it's these groups that really it's like it's guaranteeing guys a certain amount of money extra just for being on the team. Like, and that could be anyone, like a walk-on, anyone can get that half of the collective. And then there's schools like Michigan who have really not much organized at all.
It's wild. And it'll be interesting too to think like, so Michigan, like they don't really pay players anything, and yet they're the number 2 ranked team in the country going to the college football playoff for the second year in a row. So I could see Harbaugh going like, we don't need to. This way works. See? Like, okay, well then how long does that last? Right? Like for the other one that's going to be interesting is Dabo Swinney. This is like this is like a really cool recruiting pitch. It's been this way for a long time. He said, we've never taken a transfer. Right? So all the years that Dabo Swinney's been at Clemson and all the success, national titles, the amount of times they've won an ACC.
I did not know that.
They've never taken one transfer.
What is his
And when everyone was getting paid illegally, I did a piece of content today that's crushing right now because I basically said how people used to get paid, Kyle, on our show a couple weeks ago. But and I didn't say any names, but a lot of people fit into those. But with Clemson too, like I just know, I know where some of the bodies are buried, right? And so I know which schools have been illegally paying guys. And what I'd say is like, as far as I know, I don't know that Clemson, I'd never heard stories about Clemson paying dudes, like the boosters paying dudes illegally before all this NIL stuff, right? Like I never heard stories about Deshaun getting, paid a bunch of money under the table. Like, I don't know. I didn't hear those stories there. Maybe it happens, but it's certainly not out in the open like it is at other schools. And so, and I don't know that those players at Clemson are making a lot of money either. So here's a guy who's won off of culture and teamwork and the ethos of what they buy into. It's like, can Clemson sustain, if they're not going to crush it on NIL and are they going to stand on we don't take transfers? Like, are they going to literally not bring anybody in from the portal? Or are they going to drastically change what they've been doing? So it's like, what are people who've done it one way for a long time going to do?
Right. Which I think NIL and the transfer portal now, it makes having a sustained good foundation culture that much harder. And I mean, as time continues, we'll see like which cultures stay the same. And I mean, that's just nuts that they wouldn't take anyone, which blows my mind, honestly.
When people ask, like, do you think they'll ever have guaranteed contracts in the NFL? Like, whatever. Anytime that conversation's come up, I've always said no. One, because the owners won't allow it. But two, I don't think they should. I think people will get hurt. It's too dangerous to have somebody not give a shit and not play hard because I just got paid and I'm getting paid no matter what, particularly if you're talking about offensive linemen. And I played on an NFL team. I'm not going to name his name. I played on an NFL team with a guy who just signed a massive deal, a starting offensive lineman. And he didn't give a shit so much to the point where he would say, I just got paid. I don't give a shit. And the players were yelling at him. The leaders on defense were on him. And he was like, I hear you. I don't give a shit. And they finally had to bench him. Right. And this was a big money guy.
Damn.
And it was like I saw it right there and I go, oh my God, if these were baseball contracts, there's like 8 guys on my team, I think right now would just fold the towel and say, screw it, I'm going on IR. You know what I mean? So like they can't have that. But in college, you're about to have that because if I'm going to come to your school, I want to be guaranteed that I'm starting and you're going to pay me this money no matter what. And it's just these numbers are going to grow. They're not going to get smaller. No. And so it's like, we're going to have guys. Now, they may be the incentive to go to the NFL is so great that they'll push through that, but you're going to have guys that experience money for the first time that are going to they're going to lose their mind. They're going to have no idea what to do with it. And they're going to go like football, like working really hard at football and doing their job great is going to be like the 3rd or 4th thing on their list of things to do each day. And it's going to be interesting.
The best will survive, as always. Yeah. Kids who can handle it. All right. I got a question, though. So say that you're one of these guys who hasn't graduated yet. Say you're a guy like DJ. I don't know if Graham's graduated yet or not, but say you're a guy who hasn't graduated and you're in the portal with all these dudes. What's your plan going into it? Like, I'm just sitting here trying to think about it. Like, are you just reaching out as fast as you can to all these schools? Like, because the schools probably aren't reaching out to you as fast as you can reach out to them with all these people in there.
Yeah. So the way that I kind of did it was, obviously there's some places that you want to go, and really you have to go back to the relationships that you had when you were getting recruited. Like for me, like I hit up a dude, like even like, for example, like the Iowa, like I have a really good relationship with a guy who recruited me. He was my first Power 5 offer from Wisconsin. So like, boom, like that's how I got that connection. Like there's guys that are still at the same place, and there are guys that are at completely different places. Like some guy that was recruiting me at North Carolina in high school, he hit me up and he's at Arkansas State, and I think that's the way you have to do it. But for guys who like it's so scary because for the guys who are not like as well known and don't get as much attention, there isn't a plan at all because they can hit up as many guys as they want. If they don't, these schools are going to be like, okay, like for example, I know like 2 big players from Alabama went to the portal. One's Trayshawn Holden. The other one is, I forgot his first name, but it's Cohen. He's a lineman. It's like, all right, well, if I'm in the hunt for getting one of these guys, like another wide receiver, another O lineman who's interested in going to, let's say it's LSU, like, no, like LSU is actually just going to wait until Trayshawn makes his decision. And then like, that's how it gets. Then you're just sitting in the portal and you have nowhere to go. And that's how these guys just end up staying there.
It's crazy. I talked to 7 people today that were either quarterbacks in the portals or their dads, all inbound calls. Like you know what I mean? All 7 of them going, any advice? I'm like, dude, I don't know. This is the wild, wild west, man. 7 today. Like I'm not even, and I'm trying to stay out of this.
Yeah, it's brutal.
You know what I mean? I'm not offering services here. Like I'm not an agent. So dude, nobody knows. And these are people who've been through the recruiting process, obviously, and been highly recruited and all that. And so it's just crazy that you also got schools trying to convince the quarterback to come back for one more year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's going to be multiple of those spots, guys that are good enough to go to the draft. So you can lose a guy to the portal. You can lose a guy to the NFL or try and get him to come back by putting together a package. That's going to happen at multiple places too. They're going to be a pitch going, hey man, we got our whole, everybody coming back. You're the missing piece. What's it going to take to get you to come back for one more year? How much are you going to make in the draft? All right, well, let's do some math here. Right. And so that's going to happen too. And it's probably happening.
No,
right now.
It's already happening, because I know at Michigan, obviously, like the O-line is really good, and there's a couple guys that have the potential of either coming back or not, and they're being told, just like I'm sure a lot of other places are doing it, that hey, you come back and we'll guarantee you this, and it's just there's no contract set out or anything yet, so it's like, am I really gonna get this? If I go to the NFL, there's a chance I don't get drafted. But then if I come back to college, there's a chance that I'm just stuck here again, and then you're not, and you didn't guarantee, because promises are made all the time, and especially in recruiting, and that they just, as soon as they get you in the door, then it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. You have your May off, every single May off, and then you get to college and you're like, yeah, there's called discretionary workouts. Those are non-mandatory, mandatory workouts. That's just how they do it.
Gotta sign some type of paper, man. Give me some line to fucking sign on here if you're gonna offer me some of this shit.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
What puts my head is, how is Stetson Bennett gonna find a way to stay another year at Georgia? Like, can he?
He's gonna play there till he's 32. Yeah.
Can he sign a 3-year, $60 million a year deal at Georgia? Like, some of these kids are gonna start doing this shit, dude, because some of these kids who are ballers in college, and I think Stetson's a baller, and I think he can transfer to the NFL. But I'm saying some of these kids who are going to play until they basically can't, are they going to start signing deals? Are you going to sign a 1-year deal to come back and then just kind of be under the rug? I just don't know where this goes, man.
Yeah. So anybody who's in the portal and it's like, you're all locked in, ready to roll. And then last second, they're like, nope, we got a chance at this guy. Poof. And while you were waiting, talking to that team, the other 3 spots that you were considering just vanished. Right. It's just like, there's going to be dudes hung out to dry. So it's funny. I'm getting asked about it a lot right now. I'm sure, Kyle, you guys talk about it in your QB room.
Yeah.
I'm sure every quarterback room in the league right now is talking about this. Well, man, it's crazy. All talking about their alma maters or some kid they know, whatever. But the true experts in the space, I don't think it's sports agents. This is too new. It's definitely not collectives, because they just got formed, 18 months ago. It's not colleges. They've not used to this, especially lifer college guys. They don't know how to manage a cap. Right? The experts is actually the 21-year-old college quarterbacks, right? And football players. You guys are actually the experts, and you guys dictate it. So it's funny if Kyle and I were like, how do we get the foremost thought leader in the space to talk about NIL? I'd be like, we got to grab a college quarterback. They probably know the most. You guys are getting the most information. You're talking about it all the freaking time, I'm sure, in the locker rooms. And it's going to shape college football in ways that'll be way better and in ways that'll be way worse. But this whole thing that how many 5-stars are sitting in the QB room right now at Bama, but they can pull the trigger real quick. You know what I mean? So You could be a 5-star quarterback, heralded, committed. That whole senior year, you're committed to Alabama or whatever the school is. You're so excited. And then you get there and you redshirt and you're going through the thing and you're building it all. Who's that guy that just walked in? Why is that guy in the elevator? What's he doing here? You know what I mean? And poof, it's all gone. Now you got to go in the port. So it's just going to be only the strong will survive. And so speaking of surviving, dude, here you are. You're committed to Iowa. What is Iowa getting in Cade McNamara? They've played against you. The fan base has seen you play. What are they getting in you?
Iowa's going to get a quarterback that's going to do anything possible that he can to make sure they win a championship. Everything I do, every minute of work, every rep, it's for that goal and that goal only. Whether that's, doing everything I can to help, create a winning culture, to use what I've learned, at Michigan and the rest of my career to help, really send us on a projection to really win. I think Iowa has enough pieces right now to go win a Big Ten championship next year. And I'm going to make sure I do everything I can to make sure that we do.
What do you love about Iowa? What got you excited about that spot? And because you pulled that trigger quick, right? So
Yeah, I did.
it's not that you didn't like snoop around and wait around. Well, let me just measure that offer against a different. Let me see. And these guys might open up. I mean, and you're not I know you well enough to know you're not a rash decision maker. Emotional decision maker. You're as thoughtful a young dude as I've been around. So why Iowa? And I know how pumped you are. So why are you that pumped?
Yeah, I think really my decision process was, I mean, in my opinion, it's easier than getting recruited as a high schooler, because you're like, oh, like the jerseys, all the fluff does not matter at all. And the fact that you've already been in college, you know exactly, I played against that dude. I've seen that offense. I'm like, oh shoot, like that's a damn good defense. So I think me having played Iowa and knowing the reputation that Iowa has played a really big part in me choosing them. And for me, what's super intriguing about Iowa is, first off, they have a top 5 defense every single year in the country. And you're telling me like they've held the majority of their opponents to less than 25 points a game, especially in college football. I mean, that's intriguing in itself. And for me, I wanted to not be labeled as a game manager anymore. And I understand the offense that Iowa has had in the past, but they made it extremely clear that, we're not looking to stay this way. We are well aware that we need to change in order to make us contenders again in a Big Ten championship. And for me, that was such an intriguing opportunity, because not only are they looking to change, but I'm looking to change really the perception of my own game as well. And for something about just like bringing a team back is just something that I love to do, whether it was high school, whether it was college. I mean, the year I took over my high school team, the year before, I won the job halfway through the season. We went 4-7 that year. The next year we won the first regional championship and conference championship in school history. I took over, I won the job halfway through Michigan in 2020. We finished the season 2-4. And then the next year we win the first Big Ten championship. So I think, for Iowa to be in the situation that they are right now, where, they even had a chance to make the Big Ten championship game despite having 7 wins. And I think either 4, 5, or 6, I think it was 5 losses, for that opportunity to be right in front of me again is something that I'm really fired up about.
That's why I wanted to ask you about Iowa, because I just want to be a real question. I want to get your real thoughts on this, because Iowa's offense over the last couple of years is abysmal, right? It's tough.
Yep.
Tough to watch. And as a quarterback,
You don't have to agree with that. That's Kyle's opinion.
no, you can agree with it.
I'm to be honest, I'm well aware of how Iowa's offense is viewed, and especially right now after the season that they had, it would be the least intriguing place for a quarterback to go if you're looking at it from that perspective. But for me, it's like the biggest opportunity to flip it. So that just makes it, that's what I get fired up about. It's like, okay, please just keep on saying that it's the shittiest offense in college football. Just please just think we're just going to be so shitty next year.
Well,
please.
The second part, but for the past couple of years, it's been tough. And so I get your point of view on that. I was just personally surprised just knowing you and watching Iowa over the past couple of years, but I understand that part of it. That's kind of why I went to A&M in the first place. I know A&M wasn't like, they just had Johnny, so they were on the come up, but I could have gone to Alabama. I could have gone to one of these top schools, but like as a quarterback, some people have it in them where they want to help take a school to the next level. They want to take it over the top. Right. And so, I mean, kudos to you in picking Iowa. I don't know if I could have done that with that offense, man, but what has the coaches told you about how it's going to change? Like, are they changing scheme? Are they going to get different players? Like, what is the thought process behind the change in the offense?
Yeah, so first off, they're looking to bring a couple of guys from the portal. We're looking for a couple targets, I know for sure. Possibly one more. Otherwise, we're very confident in who we got. And then regarding the offense, they want to open it up. And they want to create more explosive pass plays. They want to be able to rely on the pass game a lot more than they have in the past. In the past, Iowa they've really just been carried by their defense, and they want to flip the script on that. So that's what the change is looking for.
Not a bad thing to be carried by your defense. Just you want to be able to put up points too. So
yeah, exactly.
I respect the defensive. You're like a head coach up here. You got the defensive perspective too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do this game every week. Not really a game. It's actually just questions. It's called QB to QB. So we have our previous guest ask our next guest a question. So first week it was Kirk Cousins. He asked Ryan Fitzpatrick what his best cover zero answer was. Ryan Fitzpatrick then asked Sam Darnold what his lowest point was and where he lost his confidence and how he regained it. And then Sam Darnold asked you this question. And all these, they didn't know who was up next. So this is just a random question they wanted to know from quarterbacks. So this was Sam's question. What is your most important part of your routine on game day, getting ready to go in and play?
I think my most important part, like besides like my warm up, like what specifically?
Just whatever, like on Saturday, like that you have to get in, like over everything else. Like what is the most important part of it?
I have to get in, which I don't do any other day during the week. I have to get every single drop that I do throughout the game on my right side and on my left, just at about 10 yards. I don't do it any other time during the week. It's just something about that I've been doing really ever since high school that's just different, that I have to get in every single game day or else I just won't feel as dialed in as I should be.
I like that. Do you ever go typically by play, like when you have your game plan sheet? This is why I started doing, because I saw Breeze do this in a pregame a couple years ago. Well, I started doing Saturdays, I guess not actually on game day, but Saturdays after the walkthrough, I would take our game plan sheet and I would go through all of our base passes, all of our third down passes, and all of our red zone passes. And I would do the same thing. I would take my drop, just the sheet, no football or whatever. I would take my drop and go through all my reads on each one. And then you just don't think anymore. Like I agree with you. You're just kind of dialed in and you don't have to worry about the exact drop. And then you're boom, boom, boom through your read. So it's really interesting. I just added that in my game recently.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I never want to be put in a position, like for me, like I never want to be put in a position where it's like, oh, I didn't hit my 3 on rhythm before the game. You know, for me, it's just something about, because taking a drop is one of, if not the most important part of starting the play for a quarterback. And then it also has to be completely not thought of when you're running the play. So I want to make sure that I don't have to think about it, and whether I'm thinking about it or not, I'm confident that I've already done it and I've already hit my spot.
Yeah, I mean, if it really, the way I look at it is a well-executed drop should tell you when and where and what, like when you're going to do what. When am I going to throw it where, right? 1 hitch to the curl, 2 hitch to the burst, 3 hitch to the, number 3. And it's like, now some guys just drop back there and bounce around, but good drop should tell you when to do what. And I think there's a lot of confidence that comes from that. What question, we don't know who our guest is next week, but what's your question moving forward? What would you ask our next guest?
I'd probably ask our next guest.
And this can be anything.
Right.
It's weird because you're like running your fingers through your goatee and yet you can't grow facial hair. So it's really interesting. Kyle just goes a neck beard. That's all.
What part of game day do you make sure that you would never do to be ready for a game?
So what's something that you cannot do? Like if you,
what's
like
something
you do
that
it,
you
jinx yourself?
cannot do? Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know what mine would be, but I know there's something. That's interesting. So you just flipped your question. Gotcha.
That's deep. I can't think of anything right now. That's deep.
Like for me, I have to wear the same. This is fucking weird, but I wear the same pair of underwear every single game.
Oh, it is. You do wear the same pair of underwear every game.
Same exact pair. I have these beat up Lululemon underwear. I have like 3 pairs of them, and I have to wear one of those 3 pairs every single week.
And if you win, right, you just don't wash them, and then you can wash them.
Nah, see, yeah. I'm not that crazy.
You don't even take them off. You just wear them till the next game. Yeah, that's like totally. I get it. Yeah, yeah.
And then I just wear them underneath my girdle all week.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Girdle. It's such a weird word. It's like the word portal.
Yeah, girdle and portal. We're going to finish with one more game. This is called How Iowa Are You? So you've had a lot of time to, you're on the rehab table all day. You're just chilling out there in San Clemente. You've had a lot of time to get your Iowa on. We're going to test it real quick. So you just transferred. We're going to get your baseline score for How Iowa Are You? 4 Hawkeye related questions. Going to get harder each question we ask. We're going to start with this, okay? Iowa has what some call the best tradition in college sports. Following the first quarter of every home game, what do they do?
The wave.
I like it.
And they wave to the Children's Hospital, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, they don't do not the wave around the stadium. I'm talking about everyone faces the Children's Hospital and waves to all the kids on the top floor. It's an awesome tradition.
Do you think you're going to do anything? All of us are part of NIGU, Never Ever Give Up. We've talked about it on this podcast before. Do you think you're going to do anything with that when you get up there with the Children's Hospital?
Well, in case nobody knows, so Jesse Reese Foundation, NIGU, Never Ever Give Up. We all three of us. Kyle's cleats last week were NIGU. My cause, my cleats on Sunday. And Cade, you've done hospital visits. I've been a part of it for a long time. So that was one thing that I thought of too, which was really cool, which is like, wait, you have a lot of experience dealing with childhood cancer and, hospital visits and all that stuff. And so to go to Iowa that has that tradition, maybe just like, what are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I'm down for anything really. I think it's so cool that, first off, it's so cool that everyone recognizes them on that day, and like how much fun, like I've just seen clips of it, just like them the kids creating like boards and signs and everything, like how important that day is for them every single week. I mean, as far as what my contribution to what that looks like as a starting quarterback at Iowa, I just think is just a tremendous opportunity for me to help inspire, to help give positivity for someone who really needs it.
It's awesome. It makes me tear up sometimes when I watch that. I'm not gonna lie. Those the TikToks. I'm a big TikTok crier. If anyone was wondering, I cry at all these videos. All right, next question. Your new head coach, Kirk Ferentz. Is that how you say his last name? Ferentz?
Yep, Ferentz.
Kirk Ferentz. All right. He's the longest tenured coach in FBS as of right now. We're gonna give you we'll give you a little leeway here. What year was he hired in?
I believe he became head coach. It's 100% the last. Pretty confident it's definitely the last 5 years of 1990. 1997 is what I'm going with.
We'll give you that. It's 1999. We're going to give you a 3 year. That was good. I didn't know he was the longest tenured coach. That's pretty impressive.
The only coach to be hired in a different decade or century.
Good for him.
Century.
Good defense will keep you around, man. That's all that matters, I guess. All right, third question. You're 2 for 2 right now. Iowa supposedly, this is not my opinion, it supposedly has the greatest gas station breakfast pizza in the world. What is the name of the gas station?
No clue. No clue.
Well, I'm excited for you to try it. I guess it's called Casey's. Gas station pizza, breakfast pizza, even though it kind of sounds disgusting though.
Breakfast pizza. Casey's.
I'm more of like the hot dog on the roller guy, or like the taquito on the roller guy.
The taquitos on the roller are pretty fire.
Circle K. I used to get those in all the time growing up. You know those from Nevada. They probably had those Circle K ones out there.
Yeah, they do.
It's disgusting, but they're so good. All right, last one. There's one U.S. president born in Iowa and one Heisman winner from the University of Iowa. Can you name either of them?
No.
I respect the honesty.
Too new.
It's Herbert Hoover, which I'm guessing he was the president. Is that the president?
Yeah, it's definitely the president.
Or Niall Kinnick from 1939.
How do you not know that?
Yeah.
39, that was such a good year.
Well, the stadium is named Kinnick. So
wow. Okay, you should have known that then, actually.
Right. So I actually should have.
2 for 4. You knew the important things, like your head coach and the wave, so that's good. Hopefully you don't get too bored out.
50% on third down is like pretty good, dude. You know what I mean? So
you were 1
third down. Yeah.
A lot better than that. All right, dude. Well, that was awesome talk NIL and portal. We've been talking about it for a while on here, and we haven't really had anyone that's been deep in it and understood it and can have some good conversations about it. So I think that was like probably the deepest talk we've had about it.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, stoked for you to go to Iowa. I mean, I've been around you forever, so I've seen you grow and know the confidence you got. I know you're going to kill it there. We've all heard the story before. Share your story with everyone here. We're going to do the 2-minute drill. Basically, you got 2 minutes to tell your journey so far. It starts wherever you want it to start. Ends today when you're staying in this is going to sound weird, but you're staying in a middle school office complex right now. The ground, not to be creepy or anything, but tell us your story.
So my story began really in middle school. I met Jordan. I wasn't much of a football player. I was just really discovering my love that I wanted to become a college football quarterback when I was older. I grew up in a baseball house. I had to tell my dad that I wanted to play football when I was older, which was a tough conversation. Ever since then, I've been nothing but football. I was the first one to graduate high school early for sports. I was really the first one of the many to be recruited by Power 5 schools out of Reno, Nevada. It's definitely not a hotbed for football talent, but really my high school began. I was in a battle with the quarterback my freshman year on varsity. He was a returning all-conference junior. It was pretty rough, a really rough year in my life where I didn't have many, and I ended up winning the battle by the end of that season. The year following that, we went 4-7 that year. The year after that, we won the first regional championship in school history. We came back in the championship game down 31-7 at halftime. We beat the 5-time defending champs to do it, which was awesome. From there, I was committed to Notre Dame after that year. Then I decommitted after my junior year. I committed to Michigan, graduated early to Michigan, redshirted my first year. It was COVID year. I came in while we were down 17-0 at halftime to Rutgers. Came back. That was it's tied for the biggest comeback in Michigan history. We came back and won that game in 3 overtimes. Really, after that, the job was mine till the end of to this season. Last season, being the full start of the entire year, we led Michigan to its first win over Ohio State at home in a decade, when won the first Big Ten championship in school history. Then this year, got hurt, left the season, transferred. And now I'm committed to Iowa.
Jordan, how do you feel that story started with meeting you? Like, that's pretty fucking crazy. His life story starts with meeting Jordan Palmer.
Well, that was the start of all of it. No, it's awesome. I mean, we played a big role in each other's lives. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible, right? I mean, like you kind of had to make yourself, right? It's not like, you're not the son of a quarterback. You're not, you didn't take over at this school where like the last 4 quarterbacks have gone D1. So you kind of had to like create your own path out of high school. And then you get to college, you kind of had to create your own little path there. And then now you're having to create your own path again at a new spot. And so I just feel like you got experience doing it, and I'm fired up to.
Thanks, JP.
Yeah, I head to Des Moines. I've been there. It's awesome. It's flat, real flat, super flat. Yeah.
Just enjoy your time in Southern California for right now. Yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, I will. I'll take every advantage of that.
He's a cold weather guy. He's like Josh. Like he's, in high school football in Reno, like there's snow,
Yeah.
So
no, I actually 100% prefer to play in a cold game.
I agree.
Perfect football weather is like 42.
Mm-hmm. Overcast, maybe like just a little shitty, a little rainy. Like, trust me, I'm fucking with you on that.
See, yeah. I like a dry cold, just straight dry cold.
Though, no, you gotta have a little.
I like it 75 and sunny.
Yeah.
Or a dome.
That's just the most SoCal answer ever.
Oh yeah. I didn't throw in the rain, like throw, like even a workout in the rain until like my sophomore year in college. I hadn't even had a workout in the rain. It was crazy. So well, dude, thanks so much, man, for joining us. This is awesome. I know you're recovering right now and heading out, probably got visits coming up and all that stuff. So is this your first interview you've done since you committed?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. We like to think of it more of a conversation than an interview, but that's awesome, man. And any Iowa fans who are watching this, I've been blessed, man. I've been around a lot of first round picks, a couple of number 1 picks, including my brother. I've been around him my whole life. Probably trained 30 or 40 NFL guys and countless college guys. Cade, you're actually one of the most competitive quarterbacks I've ever been around, and you have you're in the top group of guys from a work ethic standpoint. So those things are irrelevant, independent of age, right? Like you can be really hardworking at 17 or 37, but one of the most competitive quarterbacks I've ever been around, strong statement, and one of the hardest working quarterbacks I've been around. Both those things, you're at the top, near the top of that list. Then I don't know what else you want in a quarterback besides that. So if you're an Iowa fan and you're watching this, whatever that's worth, that's what you're getting. So I'm fired up to watch it unfold.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good to see you, bro. Well, I'll see you in a couple weeks when the season's over. I'll be out there.
Well, that was about what we thought it'd be, man. Cade's is an open book. He's a truth teller. I've known him a long time, as we talked about. He's kind of one of those guys that's kind of incapable of bullshit. Like he doesn't really know how to like make stuff up and fluff. He kind of just to the point. But yeah, fascinating. Just the state of college football right now, because it's going to be different next year, and it's going to be different in 6 months. Mm-hmm. But it's just fascinating, the state of college football. And the reality is in the past, you could get news from, websites, you can get them from Twitter feeds, you can get them from, but right now, like the real news of what's really happening, you can really only get like the real stuff that's happening is like in individual conversations with dudes who are living through it right now, because most of which they can't even actually really talk about. So fascinating topic. And that was a blast.
Yeah, there were just like the whole recruiting aspect of it too. I didn't even think about that part.
Like having to recruit a guy to stay on your team.
Yeah, had to stay on your team. And then Cade, one of the first guys in the transfer portal because he was graduated. I didn't know that rule either. So he's on a team, and then he's recruiting guys like crazy from, and they don't even have to be guys that are in the portal already. You can just hit up your friends, and it's the Wild West out there. But I would say the main positive is the players have the power at this point. They haven't figured it out yet. And it's also dangerous because you go in the portal, like we said, you might not get out. But as of right now, the players have the power. You have the opportunity to do whatever the hell you want. Just choose wisely. But awesome interview with Cade. Pumped for him at Iowa. He's a great player. I think he's going to do awesome at Iowa, and hopefully that offense can get a lot better.
Yeah, man. Well, we always end this show, if you're new to this, with a moment of gratitude. Just trying to, just take a second to realize what we're grateful for. Kyle, start us off, man. What are you grateful for?
Grateful for family, man. Just grateful for awesome support systems, great family. Got to play in the last couple of games. They didn't go the way that I wanted them to. We had turnovers, we lost. My in-laws were in last week. My parents were in this week. My fiance's around. Like, just being around family and having the great support system to push you through and help you through everything. And it just kind of always goes back to that. I mean, you feel that way with your new son and your tight-knit family over there. That's really the only thing that matters in this world at the end of the day, is you and your family. So really grateful for family today, especially, but every day too. What about you, man?
I'm grateful for the role that football plays in my life. It's funny. I was at a doctor's appointment today, and the guy was like, "So it's crazy with the NBA, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't really follow the NBA." And he's like, he's talking. He's like, "You've been watching much World Cup?" And I'm like, "No, I don't watch World Cup." And I just realized, like, I was a kid. I loved every sport, right? I'd sit and watch SportsCenter. Like, I'd wait for SportsCenter to come on. I'd sit there and watch. I knew everything about tennis and baseball and golf and hockey and everything. I just don't give a shit about anything other than football. And I do it 12 months out of the year. I'm fascinated by what's happening in NIL, with high school, with college. We're in the league, and then we just had the trade deadline, and now another guy got traded, and then we got the playoffs coming up, and I got guys playing in the college football playoffs. I got guys playing in the league, and I'm so grateful for football and the role that it plays in my life. And then I got a kid in town who's taking a semester off training with me, flying down, a couple days a month. And then I got my 4-year-old with me on the field today, and he was like kind of asking questions. Reese was out there asking questions and playing catch, and I was like, this is dope. So I'm just grateful for the role that football plays in my life. So if you're listening, take a second, think about what you're grateful for, take inventory of that. Episode 17 in the books. Fired up to see who we'll get next week. We got college football playoffs coming up. Then we'll have NFL playoffs coming up.
Too.
We got some big boy ball coming up. So we're going to keep coming with the guests.
Latest.
Thank you.